Hi everyone, Marla Miller from marlamiller.com presenting our 47th quick query critique. This gentleman has been waiting for a very long time. I actually thought that I had critiqued this very early on. I can't find it and he can't find it, so I don't think that it is in the pile. In any event, he's been very kind and very patient. So I wanted to get to this this query letter, which is, well, I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to go ahead and read it, and then we'll discuss. Okay, dear blank. The struggle between deities for the title of Supreme Being has taken a new twist. The creator gods resorted to use of a lesser technology, first shaped millions of years ago, and her present name is Jen. Jen, a young archaeologist, and her 4 friends band together to defeat Seth, a bitter Egyptian god, to ensure the freedom of all human and alien races in the galaxy. Seth's goals include destroying any who oppose him, enslaving all habitable planets, and taking over as a supreme deity. Her job is to think outside the box, rally the troops, and defeat an extraterrestrial race under Seth's control and a few depraved gods. Yikes. I'm pleased to submit my 119,000-word manuscript, Mysterious Gift, a YA adult crossover, science fiction, fantasy, set in contemporary United States, Egypt, and an alien galaxy. This is the first novel of my Dark Side of the Medallion trilogy, where gods teach mortals to fight the battles against usurpers. People who enjoyed reading Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson in the Olympic series and his new Kane Chronicles will like this adventure. Along with a passion for Egyptian archaeology, my credentials include a BA in history, participation in several archaeological field digs, and 20 years as a naval flight officer. The above knowledge adds credibility to this fast-paced book. I understand the value of multi-platform book marketing. I'd be glad to send you my standalone manuscript. Thank you for your time and consideration. Okay, so it's titled Mysterious Gift, and this author says that it's a YA, how did he put it? It's a YA crossover adult science fiction fantasy. Okay, now I don't mean to be flip, but he kind of threw everything in there but the kitchen sink. So that's a problem, and here's why. Because it's a tip-off to an agent or an editor that perhaps this story is not focused enough, that it has some elements of YA in it, that it has some elements of adult. If it's YA, I have not heard the voice of the protagonist. In fact, I don't know who the voice of the protagonist is. If her name is Jen and she's an archaeologist, then she's certainly older than the protagonist of YA novels should be. And again, I'm not a YA specialist, so you got to look this up, guys, because I don't have time to do all that. But my recall and my understanding from good buddies like Catherine Ryan Hyde, who's written just a few YA novels, is that the protagonist must be a teenage voice. So if she's an archaeologist, already we've got a problem, right? Okay. So here's a few other things. He says that this is fast-paced, and I would agree that the second paragraph, where most of the story arc is fast-paced, but I don't at the end of that paragraph get a sense of what this story's arc is. I don't see the trajectory much. I know that there are good guys or girls, Jen, and bad guys, Seth, and that gods teach mortals to fight their battles against usurpers. But I think that there's not enough story development here, and so I would encourage this author, number one, to make a decision about what this is, and then stick to that. If his protagonist is older than a teenage voice, then he'd better put this in, fiction, fantasy, or whatever he believes it is. So that's number one. Number two, let's talk just a little bit for a few minutes. I'm checking the time. We've got some time. Let's talk a few minutes, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to have a sip of tea because my throat hurts. That's good. Let's talk just a few minutes about telling an agent that this is the first book of a trilogy. Here's what I tell people who have not been published. Sell the first book first. Do such a screaming good job on hooking the agent that when the agent then emails you or calls you, which is even better, or editor, because we now know that a lot of us are bypassing agents and going right to indie editors, that you at that point say to the agent or editor, and by the way, I have 2 more books that I think are a series, but right now I just want to sell this one. Now, that's a good time to put that information out there after you have hooked the person that you're trying to hook. And the best way to do that is to develop a storyline in this query letter that's so compelling. This one is adventure. Okay, this is sci-fi, it's adventure. I would hook them with such an arc that just bleeds adventure through every single line that they contact you and they say, I want more, so send more. Then you can tell them all you want about your series, and they might be very happy about that. Because remember, what are editors and agents looking for? They're not looking for a book, they're looking for careers, right? So because if they have authors, if they sign on authors that have lots of projects, guess what? That means money for the author, but also for the agent editor. I remember a great story that Catherine, since I've mentioned her at the beginning of this, that Catherine Ryan Hyde shared about when she hooked her first agent. I think that was a couple of agents ago. I think she's on book 17. But anyway, she hooked the agent on a novel. And at that time, she was spending a lot of her time writing short stories. But anyway, she hooked her on a novel. And the agent said, love this. Do you have anything else? And Catherine said, well, I have a collection of short stories that I love. And I also have 7 other novels. Now, that's just music to an agent's ears, right? Or an editor's ears. But save that. Play that later. Hook them on the first one first. And with this one, I think that Mysterious Gift needs more work in developing that story arc, and this author needs to decide if in fact it's a YA. If it is, then let's hear that voice of the protagonist telling this story through this query letter. I hope that's helpful. And until we meet the next time, be well and keep writing.